You're listening to the Final Say Radio Show, a Rappaport Media production, with your host Brett Rappaport and co-host John Rappaport.
The UN is certainly something that our next guest who's with us, I'm sure he's got something interesting to say about that. Eric Golub is joining us now, and he is a politically conservative comedian, but he's also a serious guy, too. So we're going to have fun here, but we're going to have fun at the expense of those who are doing so many wrong things, aren't they, Eric?
America forever, France never. Great to be with you, sir.
That's a great one. If France definitely helped us in the revolution, but we've had their back since, haven't we?
You know, they're good for something every 300-400 years, but then again, a blinking VCR is right twice a day, and they don't make them anymore. And as far as the United Nations that you were mentioning earlier, did it occur to a lot of people out there that when the terrorists came, they attacked the towers, but they left the UN building alone? Why? Because it's friendly territory for them.
So I think
absolutely.
You're absolutely spot on. Hey, I got to jump in real quick on the France thing. I will tell you, to me, it is comical. I go to France quite a few times a year. I have a lot of business associates there. The vast majority of my business associates are very conservative. They are big into innovation and so forth. And they're actually telling me for about a year and a half, 2 years now, that France is actually very similar to the U.S., that just slightly less than half of the people are kind of carrying the burden, and that they're actually desperately looking to, get rid of socialism because they see their country rapidly dying. So I think we're actually in parallel courses, but clearly we don't want to look to them for a beacon or guiding light of anything other than excellent cuisine.
Well, when Francois Hollande is an improvement over the leader you have, then your country is in trouble. And our country is in a lot of trouble right now, but 2 years goes by very, very quickly.
Not quick enough, of course. Eric, let's just look at a few people who are very visibly political, and let's take a look at them. Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, who ironically was maybe, I guess, still best friends with Gabby Giffords, who was the unfortunate congresswoman who was shot. And I know Gabby Giffords was such a sweet person, and I've heard so many wonderful things said about her by many members on both sides of the aisle. Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, she's like the exact opposite. How are they friends?
Well, what's funny is Harry Reid is a dour, unpleasant individual, and I've met him and I've met his wife, and his wife Landra is one of the loveliest people you will ever meet. My mom is a sunny, optimistic woman, and my dad's a grouch. I mean, sometimes people just look for different people. I'm a loud mouth, and my best friend is a shy, quiet guy. As far as Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, no, she does have a nasty streak, and what I tell people is she acts like she knows everything, but she's really Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. She knows nothing. And I actually did the lineage on Ancestry.com. I found out that when Debbie Wasserman married Sergeant Schultz, they produced an angry leftist child ranting and raving at the world, and now we know the origins of MSNBC's Ed Schultz. But again, their second kid could turn out to be pleasant. You never know.
I was at a bar mitzvah recently where there was a great cartoonist, and I asked very simply, what is it that you do? What's the first thing you spot in somebody? And she said, nothing in particular. I look at two things. I look for something very pronounced that I can make fun of and exaggerate, like a balloon toy, and then I look for something understated, and then I even further understate it. So I'm basically stretching from what's white background noise to what jumps out. And it occurred to me you probably have some similar mindset when you think about doing comedy. So I'm going to throw somebody at you who I think gives you plenty of fodder. And in fact, I'll throw two out there, give you a little fun for both sides. So one would be, of course, the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. The other would be somebody who right now is pretty divisive on the, or let's call a dividing line between the Tea Party and the traditional GOP, which would be Karl Rove. So I'll let you have a little fun with both of those in your own sort of analysis.
Sure. Well, with the Pelosiraptor, she kind of reminds me of Edith Bunker from All in the Family, except without the warmth. She is the queen of Dingbatistan. And, again, I understand she's very good at raising money, but if you listen to her, and I know we've had a field day with, how can we know what's in the bill? We got to pass it to find out what's in it, blah, blah, blah. But she is such an obtuse woman. I want her to stay in power as minority leader forever, because as much as she's a great fundraising tool for the left, she's a great fundraising tool for the right, and she lost her speakership after 4 years. Now, Karl Rove, some of your audience might not like this. I actually like Karl Rove, and even though he drives the Tea Party crazy and the loathing is mutual, here's what I say about Karl Rove. He won 2 elections. He was 2 for 2. Since he left, we're 0 for 2. Now, people can say that that's a coincidence, but the bottom line is that I'm not going to attack a Karl Rove or a James Carville on the other side. My attitude is that if I'm a Republican running for office, I would want Karl Rove to babysit me and my kids, because all that guy does is win elections. He's not the policy guy. I understand he's too establishment for some people, but you can't do anything policy-wise until you win elections and govern. He's a winner.
So what you're saying is if we get Carver and Rove, that maybe one of these half-witted nominees that we come up with will win?
Well, Carville did something brilliant. He realized that the Democratic Party were a bunch of worthless losers. And the reason I say that is because the numbers speak for themselves. Michael Dukakis lost 40 states to 10, and that was an improvement over Walter Mondale and Jimmy Carter. So what James Carville did, and Rahm Emanuel did that in recent years, is he took all the liberals, locked them in a room, dropped a bunch of F-bombs on them, and said, you are going to learn how to act normal. You don't have to be normal, but you have to act normal, and we don't want to hear a peep out of you until Bill Clinton is elected. And Carville deserves a lot of credit for that by taking all the lunatics and just locking them up and throwing the key away for several years. Now the lunatics are out, and I'm praying that Elizabeth Warren runs, because if Elizabeth Warren runs for president, think of what would happen, like Hillary Clinton without the pleasantness, or Howard Dean except louder. Okay, we could go back to the glory Walter Mondale days where, again, they don't win anything and they're discredited around the country.
John and I were discussing this just the other day, that could you imagine a debate between Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and Elizabeth Warren, and whoever else you throw in doesn't even matter? That would be such entertainment. I think it would beat the Super Bowl in ratings.
Well, they're all different personalities, because Hillary Clinton is like Lady Macbeth, except less ethical. And whether or not she, I've said this many, many times, whether or not Hillary Clinton lives or dies, what difference does it make? So she is a ruthless, cold, calculating woman who will lie about anything. Elizabeth Warren actually believes the things she says, which makes her even more dangerous. And as for Joe Biden, he's kind of like the Barney Fife of the administration. I've said many, many times, I want to see Joe Biden's birth certificate because I want proof that he's from planet Earth.
It's interesting you say that, because I would make the case, many people have said Hillary would be a third term of Obama, but actually Elizabeth Warren would feel potentially much more like a third term, because Hillary Clinton, while I think she's definitely to the left of Bill, they're just a machine that is dying to win, and I think she would trim her hair or change her pantsuit, do anything possible to win that election.
If you want to know what Hillary Clinton's core beliefs are on any given day, call up Dick Morris or Frank Luntz, find out what has 60% popular approval, and that's what Hillary Clinton's deepest convictions have always been on that given day. She and Bill stand for absolutely nothing except getting elected, whereas with Elizabeth Warren and Barack Obama, they're actually true believers. Now, they may believe in absolute nonsense, and they may believe in things that are destructive, but at least they have core beliefs. And as far as Joe Biden, well, it's hard to dislike the guy. He doesn't do anything. So I think he's in his office right now playing tiddlywinks or, looking for a pair of plastic scissors so that he can go to some ribbon-cutting ceremony, because that's all they trust him with.
Yeah, I think I saw him at the old video game arcade recently, right across from the Stone Pony. But listen, I think if you want to really look at this from a maybe not so funny perspective, but they're again going back to putting everybody in character as caricatures of themselves. We have a handful of people that are clearly going to be on the stage beyond Obama's term. One is Putin. The other, I'll just call it the Ayatollah, because it doesn't matter who's president. The reality is in Iran, it's the Ayatollah, but also Erdogan. So I wanted to get your sense on how you see Obama stacking up against them and what you think the party really needs to do to change its international image to get America. Let me simplify this. I believe that the American century is rapidly nosediving, and if they do something very quickly, and in 2016, we will not have another American century. It'll be a Chinese century, and we'll be kissing a lot of Chinese tuchus to get an opportunity to play by their rules.
Well, I wouldn't overestimate China because they have a lot of structural problems, and it's going to be tough to take care of 1.1 billion people. You know, I saw a great documentary that showed all these beautiful cities they built that are completely empty. So China has plenty of problems on the horizon. But the thing is that when it comes to international problems, the biggest problem that is affecting the globe, that is destroying everything, is the heterosexualization of men. And I'm deadly serious about this. Alpha males have given way to beta males. I think it started with Phil Donahue in the 1970s and the male sensitivity movement, where being emasculated was somehow equated with being a real man. And Putin and the rest of the alpha males are the real men. And you've got people like Barack Obama. You know, when you've got Putin shooting bears and mountain lions, and then you've got Barack Obama wearing mom jeans, America has been absolutely emasculated. But the good news about this is that the way to change that is get rid of all these sissy female beta males, put an alpha male back in power like George W. Bush. Our foreign policy should be like Sly Stallone in The Expendables. Find them, trap them, kill them. That's it. Okay? Enough of this dialogue nonsense. You can have dialogue with people where they value life. When it comes to people flying planes into towers, the way to kill terrorists is to absolutely kill them. And you've got these liberal sensitivity movement guys who think that if you kill terrorists, that just breeds more of them, which makes about as much sense as saying if you increase the number of abortions, that'll bring more babies into the world. Adding is adding, subtracting is subtracting, and unless you're a liberal who believes in Common Core math, the way to deal with terrorists and the problems in the world is you take the enemies and you make the pain on them so great that they never want to cause problems ever again.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You bring up the wussifying of America, and I tend to agree with you, and I think it really got bad in the 80s when you had, one hand, guys like us who enjoyed the rock and roll and the hair bands, but then you had things like the Backstreet Boys, and I never understood why they were so popular, but now I really do.
Well, it's okay when it's 14-year-old girls liking them. It is not okay when it's men. The fact is that men, they eat red meat, they watch football, they enjoy NASCAR, they watch movies, again, like The Expendables, where all you do is gratuitously blow stuff up. If somebody comes to me and says, do you want to watch Beaches or Fried Green Tomatoes or Steel Magnolias, you had better be a woman. Because if you're a man, I am banning you from my gender. And the problem is that we are being run by a president who is so feminized that he has secret meetings on the corner with Al Gore where he says, hey, Al, can you get your dealer to score me some beta blockers? Barack Obama can't be the leader of the free world because he's only the sixth most powerful person in his own household.
So you just encapsulated his body language when he walks down the stairs. Hey, I just want to ask: based on your last statement, does that mean that Brett has to burn all his Barbra Streisand and Liza Minnelli vinyls?
My friend Evan Sayed has a remark: nobody should own a gun if they have a criminal record, a psychiatric record, or a Barbra Streisand record. So I'll leave it at that. But regarding Obama, this is a man. He bowled a 37. He can't skeet shoot, 2 for 22 in basketball, 0 for 5 in the football toss. Chris Christie had to win him a stuffed animal at the Jersey Shore. And again, the mom jeans and throwing that baseball. And this is a person who's going to intimidate the mullahs or Vladimir Putin. If we want to make this country a better country, we need to go back to being real men. Take these beta males and just beat the daylights out of them. They're beta males. They're not going to fight back.
John, I have to correct you. I actually just went to see Judas Priest in Boston. I don't know where you got the other two picks from, but anyway. By the way, when you look at the visitors who come to the White House, I think it's very interesting because a lot of these bands that we refer to have played evidently for the president. So I think it's very telling. But I want to get back to a bigger picture because some of the greatest threats that we deal with, on one hand, you have these Islamic extremists who really hate on everyone, but the only thing they seem to fear is someone who could beat them up with a bigger stick. And in that case, the only thing bullies understand is force. Whether it's a leftist or an Islamist, you can't reason with a bully. And I never thought I would find the wisdom of the world in a Batman movie, but the most recent Batman movies were very politically conservative, and they offered a neocon view of foreign policy. And Alfred the Butler said it best. Some people, they can't be reasoned with, they can't be bribed, they can't be bought off. Some people just like to watch the world burn. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And Barack Obama is delusional because he belongs to that faculty lounge mentality that says if we just give the people what they want and we're nicer, then we can avert destruction. But destruction is their goal. And they've decided it's them or us, so we have to decide they get killed, we survive. Okay, so now that we've picked on everyone, including me, John, thanks. But let's look at 2016. If you could sit in a room and draw straws or draw from a hat a couple names to throw out there for the Republican Party to face off against these wonderful people we've already discussed, what are some of the names you throw out there to represent this country as men?
Well, I'm publicly neutral because I want to work with.
Yeah,
I'm publicly neutral because I want to work with them all, but my rule is simple. I don't care if they're a moderate like a Rudy Giuliani or a Chris Christie, or they're a conservative like a Ted Cruz. That's less important to me. What matters is that the three guys I just mentioned know how to hit back hard. Mitt Romney was one of the finest, most decent men to ever seek the White House. He was a polite Midwesterner. Tim Pawlenty was a polite Midwesterner who wouldn't even take on Mitt Romney. Hillary Clinton plays the girly girl routine and then throws haymakers. So we need somebody, whether a moderate or a conservative, what will unite us all, because we pretty much agree on policy, what's going to unite us all is not a moderate or a conservative, but somebody who can hit back, beat the daylights out of the left, and take their scorched earth tactics and shove them up them until they go to the restroom red, white, and blue.
That sounds reasonable to me, and I think that's why Chris Christie won re-election here in New Jersey somehow.
Well, again, people don't like wusses. I've said many, many times that metrosexuals have united everybody against them. And, Chris Christie is the ultimate alpha male. When I look at Chris Christie, I see Bill Parcells. I see Tom Coughlin. Guys who, they may be gruff, right. They may rub you the wrong way, but you know what? When they're getting the Gatorade bath, all is forgiven, and they're heroes. So whether it's a Ted Cruz or a Rudy Giuliani or a Chris Christie, Americans after 9/11, they don't want somebody to sit in a circle, sing Kumbaya, and smoke a peace pipe. They want to know, what are you going to do to get the bad guys? Find them, trap them, kill them, and then you chest thump, and then you plant an American flag in the ground, and then you put your feet on the table and smoke a stogie and make sure they get a picture of it like Fujimori did in Chile.
Eric Golub, this has been a lot of fun, and we've enjoyed this discussion and some of the insightful things you've had. But we have about a minute left. You do have 3 books that you've written, so I want to give you the opportunity to just plug your books and then, of course, provide your website. But we also want to extend an invitation to have you come back and join us and pick up this discussion. But,
it would be an honor and privilege. My 3 books are Ideological Bigotry, Ideological Violence, and my newest one, Ideological Idiocy. Contact me on Facebook and Twitter. My site is tigerexpress.com, TYG, quadrupolarexpress.com, or you can go Facebook and Twitter, Tiger Express. Contact me directly for copies of the books, signed and autographed. And if you don't buy one, I tell people buy all three. And the last thing I'll mention is I'm not a candidate for office, so there is no limit to how much people can donate to my cause and no paperwork for them to fill out.
That's great. Anyway, again, Eric Golub, thanks again so much for joining us. And it's been fun, but also actually pretty good a learning experience, because we've just proven that you can discuss real things and do it in a funny manner, but actually make sense.
Thank you, and God bless.
God bless you too. Anyway, take care. Have a great afternoon.